The woman.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to The Woman Show. It's been a while since I've been here. It is nice to be on this chair, to be back in this chair after such a long break. So good evening to you all. My name is Priscilla Winkle. And of course, my two co-pilots are here as ever. First up is none other than the gorgeous Miss EK. Good evening, Miss EK.
Good evening, Priscilla. Good to have you back. And it's good to be with you once again out there in the television world.
Thank you. And of course, let's not forget Bola.
Hello, good evening everyone, welcome. And Priscilla, we've missed you here, so welcome to you too.
Thank you. I've missed being here. Before I introduce our subject matter today, let me just make mention that it was Miss EK's birthday yesterday.
Ooh.
So do call in as you contribute to our conversation. Do call in and also wish her a happy birthday. So happy birthday, Miss EK.
Birthday to you, madam.
So
Where's my cake?
Well,
Where are the candles? Oh, there was too many, wasn't there?
Yeah. Sorry, we didn't. Yeah, cake. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, my goodness, the planet has been busy since I was last in this chair. There is, of course, President Donald Trump. Never-ending tweeting with him, and there's always an issue. Even in a situation that things should not be an issue, there's always an issue with President Trump. But I think what has taken the planet over right across the globe is this issue that has been burning. I mean, there's a whole diversity, racism conversation that is going on. But there's also this issue of sexual assault, sexual abuse that has been raging. It started off with a publication in New York Times that talking about the Wall Street Journal, rather, talking about Harvey Weinstein and what he had done with women. That singular allegation and the fact that a few women were mentioned spiraled into a conversation that has not left our TV screens, our pages of newspaper, everywhere you turn. It's the whole, you know, he tried to assault me, he asked me for that. But I think what is most interesting is we've moved from Hollywood, where we're seeing actors coming out now. Kevin Spacey is telling us that, you know, apologizing for a situation that happened so many years ago. Dustin Hoffman is apologizing for a situation that happened so many years ago. We also have a situation, you know, we've moved to the United Kingdom now, where we've moved from entertainment movies to politics, leadership. And we are now seeing here, for instance, Sir Michael Fallon, the Minister of Defense, has resigned his position because there was apparently an allegation that he touched somebody's knee, you know, and as a result of that, he has quickly resigned. My goodness, I mean, it's endless. There is also the suggestion that there is a list in Parliament where women have come together and spoken and mentioned the various MPs that had at some point made a suggestion, done something, put their hand on them inappropriately. There's also the allegation of rape. There are those who were afraid that weren't able to speak up. Ladies, how have we been?
It's been an interesting course of events, hasn't it? As you said, it's just been spiralling out of control.
Completely.
Obviously, we had the Bill Cosby saga last year, and then things quietened down. And before that, we had all the child sexual abuse allegations. So,
the Jimmy Savile situation.
The Jimmy Savile situation.
That
So I'm
seemed
just
to have been
wondering
crushed
if
somehow.
people are now getting the confidence to speak. Previously, people would have thought, maybe some of these women would have thought, who's going to believe me?
Yeah.
They've got all the power, you know, I'm defenseless. But now they're having a voice, and when one person comes forward, a multitude just follow, and it's like, well, if she can come forward, let me come and speak about my situation. And they're feeling empowered.
Ms. Eakin.
It's a very interesting. I mean, you're talking as though, well, from what you said, as though the child sex scandals are over. they're just
Oh, no,
beginning.
they're not over at all. I think it's just helped people to find their voice
Yeah.
and to say something's being done. There's a review that's taking place at the moment about the child sexual allegations. Let's get our voice out there.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that, or what I was trying to say was that I think the child sex situation is going to continue
Oh,
to evolve.
absolutely. Yeah.
And the interesting thing is that it's not just women or girls, it's
Yeah.
also men.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I remember earlier on there was the football situation where they were being, harassed in the
Yeah, their locker
in
room.
their locker rooms. There's a lot of things that's been taking place in the locker rooms, and Trump has also brought in the locker room as well for his
I mean, since his
tenure.
arrival, it's been
And
very
the fact
interesting,
that,
hasn't it?
yeah, I mean, the fact that he can, having declared it quite openly, even before he was elected, still be elected. And yet this election took place with women voting for him.
Absolutely.
And absolutely ignoring this situation, which is, I mean, what are they saying? Because if it had been a woman that had been in that situation, I think we tend to be harsher. But with the men, they've sort of, brush it over. It's as though they see them as their sons, and we must protect our sons. I mean, there's another aspect to that, which I know that we'll be probably dealing with later. But I think that the situation is quite horrific, actually. I think that, from what has happened to Michael Fallon, where he said that in fact, let me quote it. He says that he has fallen below the high standards.
Yeah.
I mean, that
That is expected of him.
that is expected of him. That is expected of someone in the
In his
British
office.
Armed Forces, and that he actually represents. And I think that is fascinating in the way that he should say that, because what are these high standards? Because when you think about it, these people represent the men outside of there, and no man outside of there, as we all know, is perfect.
No.
And yet now it's like we're setting a new standard for them and a new standard of the people that they represent. Now, there's a question in there.
My concern, though, is that in as much as this is on Earth and is moving at such a rapid pace, it's nothing new.
No,
For us as women or men,
Yeah.
it's been going on. People have been witnessing these things and not saying anything. And people have also been, saying, okay, well, we can't say, those who are victimized or the victims have said, well, what do I do? He's so-and-so and my career could end, just like that. Who do I complain to? Or the ones that have managed to complain, as we hear in the Labour Party, have been told, you know what, just
Keep quiet.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, this thing has been consistently brushed underneath the carpet.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the things that is going to happen, and just slightly going back to the standards thing, is that every Prime Minister, when interviewing, has to add another question. And that is there anything that I should know about? Or is there anything that is going to come out?
Oh, but they do that already.
No, but
Certainly
it's
for the
going to
government.
take a different dimension now.
Conflicts of interest, they do background checks. They
It's
do
going to be worse.
vetting.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
it's going to be worse
more
now.
intense. It
More
probably needs
intense.
to be.
They're going to probably have to take a lie detector. They're going to probably have to sign it in blood. No, but it's ridiculous because
That's going a little too
what
far.
we're not taking into consideration here is that with Theresa May's small majority, this whole thing could.
It's really a small majority.
Well, it could topple the whole place. I mean, there's about 40 of them out there, 6 of which are sitting in her government, 20 of which are very high, qualified individuals who are the sort of people that she would probably use to deal with Brexit and all the big issues. Now, if they all start to tumble because they say, well, look, hey, I can't take that position because you know what, there's this thing that happened a few weeks ago, because he says many of these are false. That means that some are not false.
Well, I think one of the issues is that obviously with the government as well. I mean, they've said that there's about 30 names on a list of allegedly those involved in sleaze out of 650 MPs. I'm sure that is even an underestimation potentially of names out there. But when you're looking at the proportionality of that to society as a whole, that's a huge figure out there. And as you said, Priscilla, it's not unknown to many of us women anyway to have been harassed in some form or another.
And
But is
from an
there a
early age.
cultural, absolutely, but is there a cultural shift? Because I think,
I-
it may have been accepted, in fact, years ago, and people would have just brushed it under the carpet as, oh,
Was it accepted though? But I don't know what you think out there. Our number is 0208 808 0693. When you heard of these allegations, did you go, or was it a case of, oh, what's the big deal? It's happening. It's been happening every day. Or did you think, finally, we're voicing it. Somebody's talking about it. Call us. Let's hear from you. Share your experience and your thoughts on this fury, this fire that is not going anywhere anytime soon. I can't see it going anywhere. The number again is 0208 808 0693. It'd be great to hear from you. Ladies, I hear what you're saying, but then, one question that I must ask. I know that it happens. Women are doing it too. There are some women out there that would do that. But is it a case, is this a case of abuse of power? Because most of the men that, we're hearing of at the moment are men in the public eye. It's happening in offices. People that are in senior positions are, asking for things, demanding for things, putting hands in places that they shouldn't be putting on another person. And, it's happening, and we're seeing with our politicians, we're seeing powerful, rich men who are in positions that can make and break you. So is it a question of, an abuse of power? Is it the power that they have that is driving them to the point that they feel that they can do this and get away with it?
It's definitely an abuse of power, because obviously they're in a position which allows them to be that confident and to have that remit to even put another female in that position, and sometimes not even just females, may I add. There are males that are saying that they have also been assaulted as well.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's an exact replica of Hollywood, where we're seeing the directors and the powerful directors who can make or break an actress's career.
The casting couch, as they say.
Absolutely, that have actually, abused their power. And now these actresses who were probably like 17 or 21 at the time and are now grown women are actually finding their voice and say, actually, what you did to me 20 years ago was just not right. And sometimes actually as young women or teenagers, they may not have even realised that these men were actually overstepping their mark so much that they were actually being assaulted. They may have seen it as he's being flirtatious and I don't like his come on, but they wouldn't have necessarily realised that, hang on, what you're doing here is absolutely an abuse of power. And we see the same thing with child sexual exploitation, for example, when you have men who are older than these young teenagers that are prowling on them, or they're exploiting them because they're vulnerable and because they don't know that actually they have a voice in this and they can actually report it.
Is it because they feel that nobody's going to nobody's going to listen to them? But it still doesn't. Ultimately, what is it with being in these positions that makes it okay or makes somebody feel, think, and act in that manner, because it doesn't take away from the fact that as much as they're in these positions, they also owe a duty and a responsibility to those who work for them, to those of, that is within their remit, as let's just defense minister, for instance.
I think when you refer to the word power, it's as though we're talking about their position, as in being a minister of defence or something like that. And I would move away from that argument and say it's nothing to do with that sort of power and more to do with them men behaving badly.
Oh, okay. On that note, we have a caller. Let's hear from our caller and see if, our caller agrees that it's just a case of men behaving badly. Hello, good evening.
Hello.
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 Stay on the line.
Hello.
Stay with us. We can't hear you at the minute, but I'm sure that we'll get around to that.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Good evening. What's your name, please?
My name is Arinola.
Hi. Welcome to the program. Where are you calling from?
I'm ringing from Cambridge.
Fabulous. So talk to me. What were your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this, this saga that refuses to quench? It seems like there's a new chapter every day.
I'm even struggling to work out what exactly is sexual harassment, especially with regards to the Michael Fallon Sorry?
Yeah.
What is sexual harassment? What is the boundary? And then another story I just saw now is about a lady who's complaining that women are harassing her boyfriend. So is sexual harassment just men to women or is it women to men as well? So those are my two comments and questions. In one
Okay.
go.
I think it's not, well, thank you very much for that, Ariola. I hear what you're saying. Sexual harassment is for both sides. I don't see it as something that is just, you know, affecting. No, it's not just one gender,
No.
you know, being the perpetrator. We did say at the top of the show that, you know, women do it too. Men are also victims as well. May not be on the same scale, mind you, but it does happen.
It does happen. I mean,
Yeah.
I was reading a report in the paper today where a man was saying, can I just point out that sexual harassment is not exclusively carried out by males. I've been sexually harassed while wearing my kilt several times by women. And although it's only banter, do my feelings not count as a man?
But that's just something that I think that we should really be mindful of. You know, the effects of this whole thing on men. But Miss Ike, you know, that question there that our caller just asked, as in, what is sexual harassment at the moment in light of, oh, I just touched somebody's knee?
I mean, I think that is going. There's, I mean, even the person who had their knee touched said that she wasn't taking it any further.
Exactly.
And it is something that sometimes one does involuntarily. When you are sitting with somebody, you might just touch them or touch their arm or something to get their attention or something like that in a crowded room and things like that. But I mean, going back slightly, Mr. Fallon's behaviour was just to, well, I won't say just to, he touched her knee. She didn't complain, and now it's become a major
But
incident.
what I don't understand is, because we do know as women that we've had situations where people touch your knee with intention.
Yes, and you
Suggestive
you
touching.
tend to know the difference. I mean, there was another case that's actually mentioned in the papers where the man touched her knee and said, my wife wouldn't really mind, you know, kind of indicating that we could take this a little further.
Wow.
And he was trying to do so. Now that kind of, you know, that would
Knee touching.
be sexual harassment.
Yeah.
You're trying to push the envelope. But I mean, I think something that we have to bear in mind in this country is that the joking that we have in this country has always been
It's always
slightly...
had sexual innuendos.
Yes, you know, it reminds me of the Benny Hill.
I was going to say,
you
did
know,
we all used to watch Benny Hill
and we
those
would
Carry
laugh.
On
There was, but then
laughing
if you look at
films,
it,
and there was lots
even
of-
within the race situation, there was a lot of programs and a lot of things that we would look at now and say, "Oh my goodness, did we
Yeah,
laugh at that?
exactly.
Did we accept that? Did we
Absolutely.
tolerate that?"
That
but
is so
things
true.
have changed. That's the other question that comes out of this: is having changed, can we actually reprimand somebody for something they did ages ago when the climate was different, when it was more tolerant?
Well,
Or
there
do we,
are-
you know, it's all
I
very
hear what you're
difficult.
saying.
because if you
Ladies,
didn't- yeah.
we have to go on a break. Let's come back, and then I mean, as you can see, it's getting exciting in here. It'll be great to hear from you. 0208-808-0693. Don't go away. We will be right back.
The woman.
Get ready to rep your team. Pathway Sports and Team Nigeria UK presents the first ever The Tasty African Rep Your Team Fans Party on Friday, November 10th, 2017 at Old Stratford Town Hall, London E15. Come and join us for an exciting night filled with fun, music, food, football auction, comedy, and all the footy madness you can imagine. Dress in your favorite football team's jersey and find out which team has the best fans. Tickets start from £25 and are available online at eventbrite.com and via www.cubes.com. For more info, call 0333 5777 311 or 0744 811 2113 or log on to www.teamnigeriauk.com. You don't want to miss it. All proceeds raised will be donated to Cure Leukemia Charity, feeding
The woman.
Hello and welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. If you've just joined us, we're having a conversation about this whole sexual harassment saga that has literally taken over the planet, as it were. And we would like to know tonight, what are your thoughts on what you're hearing, on what you're seeing in relation to the time that we're in? Our telephone number is 0208-808-0693. It'd be great to hear what you think. You know, the burning question that I have now, it's two questions. It's one question in two parts. First question I have now is that, let's take Harvey Weinstein, for instance. Here's a man that has been credited to be, you know, a genius in the movie industry. He's been referred to as a god, and his work litters, you know, the whole place. And he's had more actors that have received Oscars. He's said to be the most thanked person after God in the Oscar speech. But then all of a sudden, because of this, he's going to be stripped literally. Can we really... yes, I am not in any way saying that it's right, that what he did was right, or that you know, it was justified in any way. No, I not in any way at all. But when we begin to step into the arena of how are we going to be able to completely delete this man, because we seem to be going towards, you know, let's just wipe him out, let's take everything away from him, the company, the awards, the, you know, every accolade that he was ever given, you know, he must be stripped. Where do we separate it? Because as human beings, we are, you know, multi-dimensional people. There are sides to us.
He's definitely being ostracised, isn't he? But I did feel quite, it was quite vulgar when I read that there's going to be an effigy of him which is going to be burned for bonfire night. And I just thought, well, that is just beyond the pale of significance, really. It's
I
just
mean,
too much.
you know, this thing of women bringing down powerful men is biblical.
Well,
Do you understand?
it's part and parcel of our existence,
exactly.
isn't it?
I mean, if you want to bring any man down, just find a good woman to do it with, in the sense of that is how they've manipulated situations at times or used it as an excuse. I mean, if we say within the political scene, it made me remember Profumo.
Yes.
And what happened during that time and how he lied. And then, you know, they found out that it became true that he had an affair with a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
And I think what really did it was, I'm not even sure that it was because she was 19-year-old and they had an illicit affair while he was married. Or the fact that she had also been in bed with, a Russian, please. It was a Russian again.
Spy.
Spy or something to that effect.
So we
and
were
so the two
scared.
things, it made, you know, sort of the security system a bit vulnerable in this case. So, and that was back in 60, I should remember,
that's a
61 to 63.
That called into question, it was a question of national security. There was a
Well,
fear
this is
of
national security as well, to a certain extent, because he's defense minister. And to be put in a situation where he may be blackmailed.
No. He just touched somebody's knee,
but you see,
apparently.
There are, he said somewhere in here
There might be
about
more to the
there may
story.
be more to the story. And the reason he's saying that is in case they haven't found it out, and then they find it out.
And that's
So
why
he's
they
outing
start to
himself in
drift
advance.
down.
Because it becomes, you know, not just political fodder, it becomes newspaper fodder.
But then, you know, surely we should be mindful, because, you know, it's not just a world with females, men too. And, you know, by the time we're through with all of these accusations, what message are we sending out to men? How are we going to be able to coexist without everybody feeling Or
Yeah,
you know, how
I mean,
do we
I've been,
go
I've been
forward
listening
from
to some of
here?
these debates on the radio as well, and some of the men are actually saying they don't even know what to do with themselves
Exactly.
anymore, and they're
So
actually
they're going to
asking,
be walking like in straight jackets.
they're actually
and-
asking the women, what is inappropriate to you? Is it inappropriate to you if I say to you, wow, you look stunning today? You know, is that an inappropriate gesture? They're actually honestly asking that question, and it is subjective. To some women, it's an issue. To some, it wouldn't be. I mean, some women have said, "I've got no problem if you say to me, cool, you look
Well, if
beautiful,"
you tell
or
me I
if you
look
whistle
nice,
to
I'll
me
be like,
down
"Oh,
the
thank
road.
you."
Know,
Yeah.
if
You know,
if
but
you're
you
going
know,
past the
but
builder's sites,
yeah,
and
but
they-
it's so funny because at one time they said it was part of your confidence to be able to take a compliment. Now it's like I'm going to go down the road and I'm not even going to be given a compliment. Now my life's going to finish. My life's going to end. No more
it really?
compliments, no more adulation. What is going on? What are we doing to ourselves as human beings?
Yeah.
You know, I do agree that there is a certain element where even we as women need to train up our sons. And we have to stop this locker room thing and this feeling that you can just abuse, take, touch, do anything you want to a woman. That is not acceptable. But the question is, how do we inculcate that back into the culture or back in? I mean, there was a time when men were gentlemen. They opened the doors for you. They didn't do
They still
something.
do.
I'm sure
However-
some of these were acting as
yeah,
gentlemen,
but hold on.
they were
I'm so
sleazy at
sorry.
the
I
same time.
forgot. I forgot that they went to the certain parts of the country to go and sort that side of themselves out. So I do apologize for that.
I mean,
Well, I mean, if you're a man and you're watching, it would be great to hear from you. How do you feel about this whole sexual assault conversation? As a man, do you feel somewhat persecuted? Do you feel, you know, concerned about going forward? Do you feel, are you one that is usually, you know, quite happily friendly with the ladies without actually thinking, without any kind of connotation to it, and then now you're having to think, okay, maybe I should be mindful here. It'd be great to hear from you. 0208-808-0693.
Yeah, I mean, there's something also to be said for some of these women coming out now as well. You know, some of them were grown women at the time these issues occurred. They may have been starting out their career as well. You know, the question does need to be asked as well. Did they play into the situation to further or progress their
Oh
careers?
yeah,
as well?
there are women absolutely that heard that, you know, this was what he was into and just thought, well, no problem, I can do this, and you know, just went
If
along
this is all I
happily.
have to do to get into the Hollywood limelight.
But you know, the what do they call it? There's something couch.
The casting couch.
Casting couch was a well-known thing. I mean, they were movies in which the casting couch was used for what it was meant for. In that sense of part
What
of
was
the
it meant
story.
for?
I don't know. I wasn't there. But you know, in the sense of the stories, and so it built up the image of what this was about and what goes on. And this was, you know, Hollywood. I mean, even with the you know, when they did love stories or whatever, they would create the love story not just within the story, but take it outside. So you'd see the pair going around
Yeah.
and doing things, because it's all part of that whole picture that they would build in order to sell. And they went with it, they did what was required, and they got the fame. So really, I think everybody has to ask themselves, what are you willing to pay? What are you ready to put down for certain things? And it's true. I mean, there are some countries where this is the norm. They would be saying, well, what's wrong with you people?
I understand that and I see it, but I'm, you know, how do we go forward now as a nation? Fair enough, generations after us, it's happened, people swept it under the carpet, it's gone. Here we are today, we're talking about it, but then there is another generation that's coming up. How do we go forward? Is this going to be a case of, you know, people have to now begin to learn more about behavior?
I think,
You know, you know, at school, is there now going to be more learning about behavior and about certain actions?
Definitely.
I think
Definitely.
there's going to be a cultural shift, because as I was saying when we were on the break, that you know, 20, 30 years ago, that level of sexual harassment whereby you might touch somebody on the knee in a suggestive tone might have been quite acceptable at that time. Similarly, even making racial connotations or, you know, bigoted connotations to other people on the street was an acceptable norm, and we've managed to move away from that now. Certainly there's more acceptance of the LGBT community, there's a lot of work being done around racial trends and so forth. So I think there will be a shifting, and I suppose a lot of workplaces will be looking at their sexual harassment and bullying policies and so forth, and really tightening those up.
Yeah, but you know something, in those days, sexual harassment was a physical thing. You touched the person was in front of you, and that was how you could access them. But now you don't even have to be in their vicinity, in the same country, almost now in the same world as that person, and you can still access them because we've got the internet, we've got cameras all over the place, we've got phone system to do it, we've got, you know, even when you go out to drink, now you're using, you know, spiking drinks, spiking food, everything. So things have changed. So once again, that method was, that's old time now.
Yeah.
We've got a new system in place. So really, it is a matter of education, and more education of not just our women, but our men. I mean, it's really strange because they were wearing far more on their bodies in those days than they are wearing now. And then, you know, people are saying, I can go out there, wear nothing, and I have a right. And you mustn't.
The rights that we have nowadays are just, you know, our rights. We've expanded our plethora of rights that we all have in different ways and in different things. And I'm confused at all the various rights.
But you know, this issue isn't just exclusive to those in powerful positions and Hollywood directors and so forth. We're seeing more of these issues occurring in the UK amongst ordinary people on the street, people on the tube, people on the train. You're hearing of people in packed trains standing behind women deliberately.
That has happened for years, even from when I was much younger.
You know, that has been going on for a long time.
And you know, the other thing is when you were talking about women complaining, why are they coming out of the woodwork now, so to speak? But you know, there's an element of non-realization about it. And I reflect that from, you know, having worked with Africa, where whilst we were talking about how there was child molesting and child abuse taking place, you suddenly think, wait a minute, I remember something that used to happen, and I used to think it was a game. And then suddenly you realize that, you know, that wasn't a game, not for him.
That was a predator.
That was a predator.
I've seen, I think I've mentioned this once before, a situation where this old man, you know, just the way he put his hand on my, my breast, he did it in such a stylish manner that I had to question myself, hang on a minute, did that just happen?
Or was it intended to happen in that manner?
Yeah, I just, you know, when you feel something, you're like, hang on a minute, hold on. And you're looking at him, you're thinking, you're old.
He's been doing it for years.
That's
then,
ages
hasn't he?
in that.
No,
but ages.
You know, he's a senior person, so you don't, it's not expected, you know.
Why?
So, well, anyway, so so it happened, and I thought, whoa, okay, fair enough. Put that to one side. I parked it, and then I realized that there were other people within the circle that had felt the same highly stylish touch done in such a manner that everybody's questioning.
You couldn't fault it, but yet you could see. It's always a bit like racism. You could.
It was very good.
Yes.
But then the ultimate was, you know, when he said to me one day, he put his hands, literally touching right here, and he, you know, he was.
Well, you see,
pressing on that and saying
his
to
way.
me, he was working his way. I wasn't getting the message. So he, all you have to do is just tell me there are hotels. I will meet you anywhere that you want me to. Oh yes, that's how he spoke. Anywhere you want me to meet you. In the meantime, you know, I just, you know, when I was just
in
like
shock. Just like
I was in
stunned.
complete and utter. I was confused.
Yeah.
I was like, this is not happening.
Yeah, did this just happen?
This can't be real. And at the same time, I was thinking, your wife is there. How could you do that to me?
Was he one of those people?
And
that
he
had
was
more
a
than one wife?
senior man. You know, his children are bigger than me and all of that. And you know, when I was just so confused. I just sat there.
That's also a cultural problem as well.
Is it
it
just a
because-
cultural thing?
Yeah,
Isn't it just a human thing? The fact that
it's human,
you don't
it's cultural,
expect him.
Yeah, but it's what we
You don't
spoke
expect your
about a
grandfather
moment
to put his
again.
hand on you, you know?
Does he
in
not
that manner.
have, no, does he not have feelings? It's the same thing of cultural things, where it was a culture to be, you know, like Benny Hill, wasn't it? And we
Yeah.
would laugh about these things, and he'd be running around after these girls with almost nothing on, and we would laugh along too, because it was all done in this kind of, and then we start to find out about him. Now, once again, in some cultures, it's nothing. If you can marry an 8-year-old girl, then anybody's game. You understand? And I started to understand that too, because I remember being in situations like that where you had people trying to, you know, grab you into a corner. And you know, it's almost broad daylight. I mean, there was something that I saw recently on the internet where this was in a shop. You know, it could be any of those, you know, food shops, and it's one of those aisles. The man came in, saw a child who was just standing by herself near the food counter, went up to her, held her from the back, you know, harassed her, basically, and then walked away. Just like
Yes,
that.
I saw that.
That was, I
I've
was
seen
like,
that
you know,
going
I
on.
had to repeat it because I was like,
we-
did he do something to her?
Yeah, it was horrible. We have a caller. We've got Julius on the line. It's good to hear from a man. Hello, Julius. Julius? We're not hearing you, Julius. Stay on the line.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening,
Priscilla.
Julius. How are you?
Hello.
Hi.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
You are hearing me?
Yes, sir, we are. Welcome to the program.
Yeah. Long time no see.
I'm,
you are
I'm
welcome
here.
again.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. You know, I always say something. I think all this problem started right from the beginning, from the beginning of the world, when we started saying that God created a man, and the seventh day God took the ribs and to make a woman. That is
Right.
where we started putting, we were taking women as the second class citizens. That it started from our religion. And I
Okay.
think that what I think we need to do now is to bring down the power given to men.
Okay.
Because now, when you look at it, even ourselves, I would say, if you want to talk about God, now you use him, he or him for God, thinking that God is a man. We never see God before. We use masculine gender for God. But I don't think anything is bad when you say, our Father who art in heaven. If I say, my mother who art in heaven.
Well, we're
Because that is why
created in
we
his
respect
image.
there's too much more respect given to men, where the men are growing wings because of the power given to them.
I
think-
see. That's an interesting
Yes, I
viewpoint,
think that we
sir.
have to rewrite even our constitution.
Okay.
Now, in this country, our prime minister is a lady now.
That's
Maybe
right.
the next one to be a man, so that when we write the constitution, we should always rotate it, a man and a woman, so that all those ministers that are men, majority of them are men. That is why they start touching their secretaries and everything. She will not touch, so that she will not. If I touch her, she will not talk, so that she will not lose her job.
Okay,
Majority
sir.
of the professors in the schools, they are men. They have to sleep with some of their students so that to pass them, and all those types of you know what is going on in our country over there. The power given to men, we have to do it. In Spain today, men and the ladies, the women, they don't bear the name of their husband, I see no reason why you should marry to a man and you change your name to his name to bear Mrs. Priscilla of a man. Why?
Okay, let me
That's
ask you
nothing to
something,
do with
sir.
matrimonial life.
Let me ask you something, and I appreciate that contribution. But, you know, as a man, though, how do you feel hearing about these allegations? Do you think that is going to affect the way that you would normally, you know, deal with women, be that in work, in church, or in your normal everyday life? Do you think it will have any impact? Hello? Hello? Oh. It's
So that is why I say that I feel myself, I feel I'm ashamed of myself, honestly, as a man. When I heard all these things, that somebody as a prime minister or all of those things, I feel like that when at times when you look at it, when I was reading in the paper, I'll be looking around myself, looking at the ladies around me that you are after, you are a man. Who knows what you are doing in the secret as well?
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying that it is the power. Because when we are talking about sexual harassment from a man to a lady, it's a power. Because they have the power, so that when we diminish that power, we bring down that power a little bit, they will equal to women. And at the same time, now, we have to go to extend that when a lady is going to marry, you tell your father, oh, I've met a man whom I might go to marry to. I'm going to marry to. There's no need your father need to take a dowry from that man. It's just giving out your daughter to marry. You are giving
But
more power
that's cultural.
to your
That's
daughter's husband.
yeah.
So we just take your daughter like a goat. We don't need all those. We have to change all those things.
Wow, Julius, thank you so much. I appreciate that contribution, sir. Thank you. Very broad there.
Yeah.
Very, very broad. You know, first of all, as a man, he feels, you know, ashamed of what is happening, but more so for him, it's let us change the power that we give to men. But can we really do that, though?
I mean, really appreciate his comments and his support for women.
Yeah.
Being a man himself, I think that's very promising. If we have men that are ashamed of the behaviour of other males, then that's great, and that means that he's also passing that message to his sons and younger generations. In terms of the issue of the dowry, I mean, as you said, that's cultural, and different cultures actually do it differently, because in Asia it's actually the women that pay. So you know, and of course in the UK, with all of this situation going on, there's no such thing as a dowry.
No,
but yeah, I mean, I agree with some of what he has said, but there are some things, for example, you know, yes, we do have a female prime minister now. Fortunately, the word prime minister is gender neutral. So, you know, that's perfect. And I know that even in schools and so forth, they're actually changing the terminology. So it's head teacher. I actually said to my son, because I came across one of my old school letters, that, oh, this was my headmaster. And he was laughing. Headmaster? What's a headmaster? I said, oh, we used to say headmaster, headmistress. But actually, yes, now it's just head teacher. And the same as firefighter and so forth. So I do think that there are changes taking place to make things a bit more gender neutral.
It's the changes are taking place, but they're probably not taking place as fast as we actually are changing in ourselves. Because I think that it's like you can be given power in terms of the law, but the implementation of it and it working through the system for us to actually see it happening is only just happening now. It's like the word, you know, diversity. It's been there, but we ourselves have not taken charge of driving that diversity, driving that change. Now, looking at sexual harassment, sex itself is something that we don't talk about openly. Sex itself is a private matter. Sex itself is something that's hidden, and even the teaching of it from one generation to another is very clinical. It doesn't have emotions attached to it. It doesn't have the needs of the other individual attached to it properly. And but so therefore, when people then go and misuse it or misbehave with it,
I guess what it
actually is embarrassing even for the person handling it.
It's not taught. The education is not so much as it is with all other things classroom based. If you see what I mean, it is more a one-to-one, or you would have to go and find out more about it if you want to. So as much as I understand what you're saying, you know, it's not one that we in a classroom we don't have a subject called sex, and you know, if at all they come near it, they would discuss. You know, for we women, I remember at school it was in RE that we were learning about periods and what happens and all of that, and it was just, you know, a little bit of it, and that was it. It was done. But I mean, I hear what you're saying, but the ultimate question now, though, is: do we really think there is going to be any real change? We're going to go on a short break. When we come back, we're just going to try and answer that question, or look at if there really will be any change. It'd be great to hear from you. 028-808-0693. We'll be right back.
The woman. The woman. The woman.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Just before I went on the break there, the question I was asking is this. With all of these revelations that are happening, you know, coming from all over the place, are we likely to see any real change, you know, in this situation, in this arena, i.e., is government going to do anything, and are we going to do anything as individuals, as a society, a community, to, you know, look at, revisit, think about the way we treat each other? What do we think is going to be the likely outcome here?
Well, I think the government has no choice now, do they, but to do something about this. And Theresa May as well, being a woman, I think will feel that pressure more so in terms of making sure that there are strategies in place and policies and tighter legislation to rule this kind of situation out. And the fact that it's come to the forefront and to the media press, I think will put the fear of God in a lot of these people that would probably have thought that actually they can just go about their usual lives making these advances at people because they have money or power or hold some significant position. I think they will think twice about their actions. I hope it won't be a fleeting issue though, and then again just die a short death.
Yeah.
You know, I think it may be a fleeting issue.
Do you think so?
In the sense that people will continue to do what people do. There'll be another generation that will have the same discussion but at a different level. I mean, the perfumer case is one that happened a long time ago. This is a similar sort of, not the similar, but it's still in that banding. And in a few more years, there'll be another one, you know, in that band again. And it just depends on who finds out and how does it get out there. But I mean, at different levels, maybe the law will tighten. Always the law goes at it first to try and restrict and hold back people's behavior. But I think people need to be retrained. Their mindsets need to be looked at again. You know, they've got to reconsider how they're relating to each other and the way we are teaching them. Because if you think about it, right now we have an avalanche of a problem coming where the children are being sexualized so early. I mean, I saw something recently that I was horrified by, which was a teaching tool for kids. And it was showing them various things.
We have a caller. Let's hear from our caller. We have Mrs. Akombi on the line.
Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome
this
to
is
the
Chief Mrs. Akombi, Jumoke Akombi.
Welcome to the program, ma'am. What are your thoughts and your contribution?
I'm just thinking this subject matter of you know, women coming out after such a long time and making accusations. To me, I don't know. I think it's lost its integrity because it seemed to be the in thing. Hashtag Me Too all over the world. It's good that it is cited and dealt with, but I'm one of those people who don't really like to follow the crowd. You know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely.
But at the same time, it is very important, and I think it sends a message to men who are committing such acts, let's say, to be careful because they never know in a few years to come what's going to happen. But more importantly, Priscilla, and I'm sorry, I forgot to say good evening to everybody there, so do forgive me. I understand there's pressure of time. I would dearly love to have a program about men and such things like when men are also accused of things like domestic violence.
Well, you've gone ahead of us. You've gone ahead of us. That's the plan for next week. Is to have you've gone ahead of us. That's the plan for next week, is to actually have this conversation and talk about men's abuse and their experiences.
Yeah, because I can't hear you.
I said that's the plan for next week.
Well, I will phone in to the studio and try to get your number. I had your number some time ago.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but that's something I think, especially men, where they are deprived from seeing their children. The children grow up without a father. And we know here that women abuse the system in order to get what they want, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think that will send also a clear message to the men that they're not being got at.
I absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much for your contribution, Mrs. Akombi. Much, much appreciated. Thank you.
I think she's given us 2 programs there.
I think she, on the one hand, she was talking about the relationships that married people or people who have children have. And then there's the aspect that we're going to be doing, which is about the sexual aspect. So I think we need to divide that into 2.
Yeah, a very balanced view from her.
Yeah.
It's lovely to have a woman that's contributing and also putting across views that support men.
Yeah. Definitely. I totally agree. I mean, she made a very valid point, which is that it is, you know, everybody's coming out, so the authenticity of it is the validity of it coming out so long. It just, are we now just watering it down with all this, you know?
Well, I think there's nothing wrong in them coming out, because I think what it does is it exposes the volume of it, and that this thing is not just a one-off, because that's how certain people can get away with it. They think, oh, it was just once.
So anyway,
you know, I did it
this
wrong.
is the part of the show where we say to you, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday,
This
dear.
is the second time it's done this. Oh, how sweet.
This is just for you.
You must have seen that. I've just lost some weight, so you've got to put it back, haven't you?
Cake for you.
Thank you.
This is just for you. We just want to say a very big happy birthday to you. We wish you nothing but the absolute best.
Thank you.
We want you to know that we love and appreciate you, and in your new age, we want to see more.
Said about that.
Well, we didn't put the candles on the
we did.
Safe in the studios.
So, forgive the candles are not there.
But it's still airing.
Yes, it is.
Right.
It's still airing. It's very much live. So we have 2 minutes to end. So on that note, though, before we get to ending, let our final word on this whole sexual harassment issue.
Well, I think it's just it's good that it's in the limelight now, that the momentum is there. We mustn't let the momentum die. We need to obviously educate ourselves and just be more conscientious about the words that we're using and our inappropriate actions.
Ms. Ike.
I agree with all of that. But I think the important thing is fairness.
Yes.
I really feel that we are demanding as women equality in everything. Let us give men equality too, in the way that we treat each and every single case. And I think the media have got a responsibility too, in the sense that they shouldn't just be jumping on the bandwagon and scattering the place because they want fodder for their
Before our
papers.
people cut us off, join us again next week. Next week we're going to be looking at this strictly from the point of view of the men. What has happened to you? It'll be great to hear from you. And on that note, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, ladies. Wonderful as ever. We're going to tuck away in the cake there, but do enjoy your evening. Thank you and good night.
The woman.